recently I was traveling and I went to Thailand. It was like 40 degrees, so hot. And then I went to KL. It was 30 degrees. And that difference felt amazing. It felt, wow, this is kind of cool. Like it's not that hot. It felt very refreshing, very relaxing to be in 30 degrees. Yet
Mm.
people were complaining, oh, it's such a hot day. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool compared to where I was from. So
Mm.
after that, I went back to Sydney and I'm like, it is freezing here. It's like
Yeah,
18 degrees. I can't handle it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then imagine you came from a Norwegian winter to Sydney now, 18 degrees.
Yeah.
You'll be like, wow, man, it's so hot.
Probably. Yeah. It's all relative.
It is, man. And you've been on a pretty pretty long travel. How long have you been away?
It was 26 nights.
Mm-hmm.
So a good amount of time, but also not super long. I would have loved if it was longer in terms of every location, because when you're just there for 4 nights, you have to go to a new place. And so just as you settle in, like on the third night, fourth night, you have to go the next day. And so you never really like get to explore in a relaxed fashion. So I met a lot of travelers that were staying in locations a week, 2 weeks. That seemed really ideal. Obviously, requires a lot of work leave, but it seems very ideal because then you can like stay there and really enjoy the location. Yeah.
Mm. It's hmm. It seemed to me that you stayed longer, but that's might be because you were being quite productive as you were traveling, because there were a new video every almost every day, and it looked like you were doing something new every time or a new location.
Yeah,
Uh,
I did visit a lot actually. Um,
yeah,
so probably stayed in Bangkok the longest, which was 6 nights.
yeah.
Every other location was maybe 4 nights. Phuket was 3 nights. Um, Khao Sok National Park was two. Then I went, so I started off in Singapore and then I ended in KL. So those are 4 nights each, or 3 or 4 nights each. Yeah, yeah. So it was short but long at the same time. Like short at every location, but quite a few locations. So it made for a long trip. And it probably
Mm,
felt longer to you because of me releasing videos over time. And then also as I've come back, I still haven't even really gone through most of my footage, right? I have a terabyte of raw 360 footage that I have to edit. So all my videos recently have been just me speaking to the camera, or um yeah, just quick videos that I can get up that I haven't had to spend too much time with. But I
mm,
wanted to make like a full 30-minute kind of documentary and put a lot of time into it, but it looks like um that's going to take a few months to actually edit and do up to the level that I'd be satisfied at. Yeah.
mm. Why does it take a few months?
Well, I guess footage to sort through, and then life as well, like working, doing other things. So lots of other, I get distracted on like other projects too. So I might start making a video. Like I want to make a video on um Hindu archetypes, for example,
Hmm.
and deities and the lessons that you can gain from that sort of worship. And then I started making that video, and then um, for me, like, I jump very easily from sort of project to idea. And when it feels very congruent, it's just flowing like a stream. But when it's
Mm-hmm.
not flowing, I move to something else. So
Mm.
right now, I'm making a video about an interview I conducted with a monk, in a temple I'm at. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
almost finished editing that. But there's just lots of little projects that I have that I want to complete and that I'm working on sort of as they come or as it feels most aligned to me. Yeah.
Mm. That's awesome, man. You have a few side projects on top of what you already do, your work and stuff, and then you have bigger plans. What what is when you're making those videos, what is your vision? Like, what is your intention long term with it? Apart from that, every video, of course, has its own nuggets. Like, what when you go into that, when okay, now it's time for editing or like shooting, like what's your vision with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I thought about this like, what is my purpose in life? What do I want to do? And it came down to I want to help reduce suffering in the world. And I love being creative. So the combination of that would be coming up with creative ways, however they might arise, to help reduce suffering in the world. So
Mm,
creativity can take any form. So coming up with videos, making videos, and also sharing about my life. Those are things I want to move the channel in. That's sort of the direction I want to move it in. I want to move it into being more authentic. I've realized recently I haven't shared that much about like my life and things I've gone through, social anxiety and shame and panic and things like that.
mm,
But diving more into expressing myself vulnerably and not trying to put up a facade of, hey, I'm an authority here that
mm.
has it all figured out. And I
Wow,
think it's
yeah.
really easy to fall in that trap, especially if you have a business um, that is predicated on views or predicated on clients. For example, you might know of this guy called Hamza. He's a self-improvement YouTuber.
I've uh, I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he got a lot of criticism recently about certain things that he was talking about, but really it was this overarching theme where because he speaks with such belief and um, without a shred of doubt, he speaks like everything he's saying is gospel. He's speaking like everything is true. I know it. I'm the authority. And he would say that. And then the next month, he's like, no, I don't believe that. I'm believing something else. And he says with absolute authority. And eventually, people started catching on and they're getting sick of him.
Hmm. Wow,
So,
he's big too, right?
sorry.
He I have this idea that he's quite big on YouTube.
Yeah, he is really big. And with
Yeah.
that, I guess, comes criticism. Um, and I think that practically, yeah, I agree. It attracts more of an audience, right? People want to see somebody that has it, or at least appears to be, have it figured out. They want
Mm,
to see somebody that um, can give them that sense of an authority figure, because when there's an authority figure, you can listen to them and you can gain security from that. You can gain that
mm,
sense of I don't have to decide things for myself. I can rely on the advice of somebody else, even if it's so subtle in the back of your mind. It could be there. It could be like this little program that's like, well, all these people say gold is going to go up or Bitcoin is going to go up. So I'm not going to feel as bad about it when it doesn't. I'm not going to own the decision completely.
mm.
I'm going to put a bit of my authority or a bit of myself into something else external from me. Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, all the time. And all in small ways and bigger ways. I had a big, yeah, let's call it a problem because I realized it is. of always asking for others' opinions. So if I have something in my mind, I will Google it. I will ask someone. It can be the smallest thing, man. It can be like, for example, okay, I had this, I still have it. It was on Sunday. I'm like, okay, it's getting like it's afternoon, evening. I have this album I want to listen to. It's a rap album from a Norwegian artist that's just come out. And I also want to eat. And I don't want to eat while listening because I want to do it, like properly. And my first idea was to ask this girl, should I like, I don't know, like, I want to do this or that. And I realized that, wait, I'm pretty much asking for her, like, give me what you think. And at this point, as she gives it to me, like, yeah, you should do it tomorrow. I'm like, wow, I'm about to listen to what she tells me instead of listening to myself.
Yeah.
And how can you lead someone if you do like that, if you're always questioning yourself? So I'm aware of this and I still sometimes do it. Other times it's good to ask for opinions for clarity. So you have a conversation and you gain clarity from it. But definitely I've had that. This asking for others' opinion because like I caught myself, was it not yesterday, because I had a silent day, meaning I just meditate the whole day, like no talking, not looking, like basically I Vipassana retreat with myself for one day.
I love that.
Um, and I did the meditation of doing nothing. So I just sat and did nothing, not even meditate. So just sat and did nothing. And it was maybe the day before then. I was about to ask someone, I'm like, wait, no. Like I'm about to text someone on Instagram to ask for opinion instead of just I check in with myself first. And then I
Yeah.
check, like, okay, do this. And actually first it was like, oh, I don't know, because you never use me, your own wisdom. Then I have to dig a little bit and then I find, okay, this is it. And it has caused me in many moments to be very uncertain of myself because I
Mm.
never use it's like a muscle, right? It's like, what do I do? Let me check. And you figure out, call it intuition, call it gut feeling, call it wisdom, call it being able to make decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like we outsource our authority, we outsource our sense of self, um our sense of we can do something. It's like we're still a child inside, or part of us is a child that wants
Yes.
approval, that wants a reason, or yes, you can do it. Yes, it's okay to go to the toilet. Yes, teacher, it is okay. So we want that
Yes.
teacher figure, and we project that out into the world. And
That's it.
I
Yeah.
think part of that's because well, part of it's conditioning, right? Like we get used to it, but then also at some level, it's also fear because we're trying to derive a sense of security from something external, a sense of it's okay.
Mm.
Because if everyone's saying it's okay to buy stocks, a certain
Yeah.
stock, you're gonna feel okay with your decision. You're gonna say, I know the stock's gonna go up. But if you have to make that decision, it might be quite worrying. You might be
Mm.
worrying at night, oh, is the stock gonna go up or down? You have to own it.
Yeah. 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 You cannot lean on others' opinion for that security. You have to lean on yourself. And that is pretty much, at least for me, I can only speak from my own experience, a big part of the spiritual journey of not looking outside for stuff and looking more inside, um, of the self-discovery. And what comes up to me when I start talk about this is this other way of communicating with the outside, which then again comes from the new way of communicating with the inside. So not being stuck on the logical space of like, well, this wasp just came here because it's flying around, but like, no, maybe this wasp is here because it was communicating with me something. And it sounds very like spacey, but that's me. I'm very spacey. Like I'm very out there, and um,
So
and from
are you saying if a wasp comes by, um, you're kind of saying you read into the meaning behind maybe the universe is trying to show you something or signal something to you. If there's some meaning behind it, is that what you're kind of saying?
um no, like yes, it's implied in what I mean, because what I mean is to raise above that fear, because from my personality, doing that, seeing meaning in trivial stuff is a part of me. I love doing that. That's
Right.
that's my creative expression of sharing with other people as well, of sharing to other people as well. But it's rising above that fear of not trusting, of the doubt that no, it's just something, blah, something, just something rational, but actually daring to be like, no, I would love if this was a communication, because I understand on some core that everything is as it is, and we give it meaning, and I would love to give it this meaning because that's me, like not asking someone else to give it meaning for me, but giving it meaning myself. Yes, it's this vast communicating with me. And the deeper I go into meditation to myself, the more courageous I become, more self-loving, the more I would take these wasps and create a meaning for myself, because I see after my 30 years of living that I create my meaning. So why not just create the meaning that I want to create instead of looking outside? But that's scary, because I have to live from the within. I will have to trust myself. People might then come to me and ask for my advice, and I have to be the one who's giving them security. And that's scary. That's not comfortable, especially
Yeah.
not used to it. So I have to go and get used to it by being uncomfortable, by actually saying yes to your question now. Yes, this is what I think, instead of being like, no, it's, well, what do you think? kind of thing, or like trying to adapt to you. Now I'm using you as an example because you asked the question, but you can mean your roomies, your friends, your girlfriend, your mother and father, especially. Um,
So as somebody that coaches, how do you deal with both being this vulnerable, flawed human and then also coaching, giving advice or
yeah.
helping people with certain difficulties? How do you go about framing that and disclosing I mean parts of yourself? Do you talk about that? I know some coaches try I guess putting on more of a facade, which I don't resonate with. I don't know if you do that or it seems like you're more genuine, at least based on this conversation. So I'm really curious how you deal with that because it's something I've thought about, um,
Mm,
and something I don't really have a grasp on yet. So I'm really curious.
mm, yeah. Uh, so it's a good question, because as you see, some coaches put on a facade, and some of my, I would say, best coaches in the past, I used to learn pickup, and some of them, from my view, seemed they had everything in order,
Yeah.
like everything, like they're perfect. And I thought they were like, wow. And that was good because I would take what they say and treat it as
Gospel.
gospel.
And
Yes.
then it usually works better too, right? Like it could work better.
Yes. Yeah. Like he says, do that. And I do that and it works. I'm like, dude, you're you're Gandhi. And um, uh, but I always looked at him as better than me. And then I would look at other people who have less knowledge in this pickup abilities as less than me.
Yeah.
So I would rate, because it was so important to me. I would rate guys. Like he has a hot girlfriend or he knows girls, cool guy. I respect him. He doesn't know anything about it. And it's to not put judgment on that frame of life. I'll just say it's very limiting because it's not true. I found out that this coach he was going through, because I was halfway through. I started last year. Last May, I
Which
went full
coach, by the
time.
way?
It's not internationally known. It's a Norwegian one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and halfway, so like 5 months ago, 6 months ago now, I was going through this like, who am I in this coaching spread? Do I show this vulnerability? And I had very much up to that point, but I also remembered from my previous coaches how like it was not like that. And then this New Year's Eve, I hung out with some friends of that coach, some personal friends of that coach. And the way they were talking is like, whoa, like this guy doesn't have everything figured out, you know? So I had a lot of coaches recently as well. And one of them, especially, it bothered me at first because he was talking not a lot about himself, but he was mentioning stuff about himself compared to other coaches where it was just about me. And the stuff he was talking about himself was often very um, I would say less than I would expect from a coach. He was talking about his shortcomings. And in the beginning, I was like, did I make the right choice in hiring him? These other guys, And then the longer that we worked together, I realized that, wow, he's he's amazing. And he's also a human. And he treats me as amazing and as a human. And this is the way I want to treat my students, my people. Yes, I want to express my experience, and I will talk about things that I'm sure about in a way that I'm sure about it because I've experienced it. At the same time, I will allow myself to be vulnerable in the sense of, like you said, Dylan, to talk about stuff that are difficult for you to express because it might lower your authoritative status, as well as bring up your insecurities and maybe have people doubt you.
Mm.
Because what you're talking about is taking off your mask and saying like, okay, this is me, the coach. This is me. I'm still working as a coach, but I still have all of those things. I still feel fear sometimes approaching a girl. It's just that I've done it so many times that I know that there's a desire underneath the fear and I can connect to the desire instead of identifying with the fear. So it's an experience, and that's what we all go through. And I think not talking about that is making it difficult for students, me, I'm also a student, to believe I can make it because we're always trying to become better. That was my thing, always trying to be better, always work on myself, become better. I've been with so many girls. I need more. I'm not good enough. Because it's this ideal, right? It's this
Yeah.
guy who's like, I know everything.
I relate to that story so much. And I love that mindset you have um, in your coaching because that pretty much answers how I want to be. So to hear that is just great. I guess great validation of that that idea. um, And I think people
Yeah.
are
That,
moving towards
that's okay, by the
authenticity.
way. Sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but just say validation is okay, because if I am an insecure human, I do need validation.
true.
It's not like I'm I don't know. If I don't need any validation, then I'm not really a human anymore, you know?
You're right. Yeah.
If I'm not a human, then why am I here to live this life? You know, I yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's a really good point, and that's also a trap I've fallen into so much, which is like this spiritual perfectionism, like this. Oh, I can't have human desires because I need to be perfect, and I need to accord with these high spiritual principles. That means I
mm,
shouldn't have any attachments, and I shouldn't have any aversions or lusts or hates or whatever, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm,
I think people are moving towards more authenticity, whether it be coaching space, internet, YouTube, because we've gone through this period of charlatans and authority figures, and it's still really attractive to a lot of people. But I think there are groups of people that are veering off into more of
mm,
like desiring authenticity and desiring the facade to be taken down and seeing that everybody is just another human like you that started from nowhere, right? There's nothing really special. There's no secret sauce that makes them qualified to do what they do. There's
mm,
no qualification needed. There's just
mm.
you doing something and seeing what happens, and that is it.
Yes, it's this leap into the unknown.
Yeah, I
You do
think
before you're
as
ready.
yeah. I think with like on the pickup side of it, you see the coach or you hear about the coach and you think, oh, he must be so good. He must have such good game, because often you see a facade or you hear other students talk about him, and then you feel maybe insecure in comparison, or you feel, oh, there's such a gap between me and where he is, and I need to get somewhere
Yeah.
and be different from who I am.
Mm,
Um, and I think that was kind of the old model of game, so to speak, in the 2000s and even early 2010s, where
mm,
everybody was trying to become more alpha. And I wonder if now it's kind of shifting, because I see a lot of um, coaches or I don't actively follow any of this stuff anymore, but I have a few on my page, and the few that I do follow are more into spirituality. They're more into like how can we help people let go of their negative emotions and become more authentic, be their more
mm,
authentic self when socializing or meeting women or approaching. Did you have any thoughts on that?
mm. Yeah, I resonate with that. It's exactly what we need, because if we because yeah, my thoughts on that. Mm, it's this. I had this guy. I'll obviously not name him. I had this guy on my Facebook. I was chatting with him, and I was like, "Yeah, blah blah. We can get on a call. And I can see if I can help you." And he's like, "Yeah, but bro, look at your page. Like I want like high quality, blah 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 women. Like look." And then he sent me like pictures of him with women like posing in different places, like uh, nightclub and so on. But you by society standard would say like hot looking women. And I'm like, okay, like okay, that they're cute, man. Like what is your challenge? Like if you're taking photos with them, like what is your challenge? And when he didn't reply, and I didn't follow him up because I felt like we had different values. But he what he represented is this ideal of like, I need high quality, attractive women. But what does that mean to you? Because you have women nowadays who look at, and this is something we all do, we look at Instagram, we say, okay, this is the woman. This is what I thought was high attract, like this kind of women. And for me, at least, what I'm realizing is that one thing is how she looks. Yes, she needs to be attractive for me to be attracted. But does she need to be 10 out of 10 in looks? Or does she need to be 10 out of 10 in what I need? And what I need has nothing to do with society standards or what's in. If it's big boobs, small boobs, like thin, like 150 years ago, it was in to the woman to be big because they knew like they were well fed. Now it's easy to get well fed, so it's in with being thin. Like at least 20 years ago, like very thin, and now it's kind of changing again. But actually, what you need, and there is this guy, people are laughing at him. Oh, talking about the wasp, it just went inside. I think it's gonna be all right. I'm gonna take it out after because I'm outside in the balcony. There is this guy. His name is something Rice. He's a football player, very famous football player in England. And football players, they have beautiful girls, like like models. And this guy, he can probably have all of these models, but he chose someone who was very different from that. If you Google it, you're gonna see what I mean. Like she's a lovely girl, she's a lovely woman, and she's very different from the models. And there were a lot of hate on all social media on him. And it's so interesting, man. How can you have hundreds of thousands of people hating on this guy? I don't know if I think it might be even his fiance now, and they're having a baby. And people are like, oh man, you could have had this and that. And this guy is like, oh, I love her. At first, my thought was also like, man, you could have had this and that. But then I'm like, this is like the last weeks. And now I'm thinking, wow, this guy is a pioneer. He's going in front, being able to pick and choose any girl you want. And he's choosing someone who, the guy on the street, we have this saying in Norway, the guy on the street means your neighbor, but like you're like average guy would settle down with. And it just tells me, and it helps me to be like, okay, just because she looks like this doesn't say too much about her. I will need to get to know her. And now this is when it really flips for guys who are interested in dating girls that they want, which they deem to be more hot than they deserve, is that when you see a beautiful girl and be like, oh, hot, she's too good for me. That's what we usually do. But if you look at from this guy's perspective is like, okay, this is a girl that looks nice. I don't know if she's good for me. Let's find out. And when we do that, you will find out, from my experience, girls that I thought I was attracted to, I'm not attracted to. Of course, she has the boobs and stuff, but it's not attraction. It's more of a lust. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's amazing. And the girls that I didn't think I would be attracted to, I will see a girl. I met a girl, I was in Bali. I met a girl first time, I didn't even think about it. Second time I met her, because we were going to the same type of yoga events. Second time, I was like, huh. And then I asked her out, and the third time on the date, I'm like, wow, like you're beautiful. And I told her this, like I didn't even, and she's like, yeah, I noticed you didn't, like it was changing. And the way we hung out was so different from when I would hang out with girls that I would just see the looks and be like, yes. So it's some kind of energetic pull instead of this mind pull, and you know the mind is corrupted by everything we take in. But this energetic pull is, at least I would say, less corrupted.
Yeah, that's so
Just
true,
feel
eh?
so to to um, to come together with this, because what we talked about was can you just give me 2 words on what the starting
Ah, dude,
topic
I
of?
have no idea, but who cares?
Yeah,
You
now I
described
wanted
that
to
so well, though. I
I
feel
wanted to
like
draw
you described
seriously.
that exactly how I think of the topic as well. Um, Crazy though that it got so much hate, and I love how you called him a pioneer.
I call him a pioneer because I hate it too. Not on the keyboard, but in my mind, I was like, dude, come on, look at her. Like you could.
He's a game changer, eh?
Then I'm like, oh, and I had to kill my ego in that aspect to be like, he's right. Like he's a
Yeah,
pioneer.
he's right. Doesn't that show you though, like how cyclic this system is, right? It's like it gets you to believe a certain thing, and then it gets you to reinforce the system. It gets you to reinforce the status quo of delusion, and then you become a delusional mob hater, hating on something. And then imagine if you are in his situations, or maybe you're not even in his situation, maybe you are an observer. Now you see that and you have some depiction of what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong, how you should live your life, how you should not live your life. And so, even on attractiveness, it's like how much of when you see an attractive person is you deciding, hey, this is what is attractive to me, rather than here's all these programs from 20, 25 years of
Mm.
viruses that have been sent into your brain telling you this is what things should look like. This is how you should perform in bed because you watch pornography and you have a certain expectation about how sex should go. You have all these different
Yeah.
programs and you think, I need to be a certain way. I need to be um, like so and so to get so and so girl because you want something you were trying to get. You're trying to
Mm.
become more like, especially if you don't, for example, have the looks or you haven't been brought up in a certain situation where you've just naturally attracted a lot of women, which is most guys these days, right? It's a small percentage of guys that have a certain look, certain social background where they might have it naturally. But I would say a lot of guys really struggle in that area. Well, what they do? They look to the internet, they look to YouTube, and then they are going to see a lot of guides and people online, many guys talking about how you should change yourself and do self improvement to become more attractive. And it's good to improve. It's good to go to the gym. It's good to do all those things. But I think that program needs to be removed too. That program of there's something unworthy or wrong about me that I need to change or I need to hide in order to be attractive. That I can't be attractive by virtue of being authentic, being myself, showing up, expressing, oh, I like this, I like that, I want to wear this clothes. Instead of,
Mm.
I need to look like this bad boy image because there are so many guides out there which say, here's how you should dress, here's how you should walk, here's how you should have body language. You need to follow this body language guide, top 10
Mm.
tips, right? And it's crazy how many views these get because now I don't really resonate with any of that stuff. But when I was younger, I used to watch it. Like I used to watch all of those, um, I guess, male self improvement guides. This was like when I was a teenager. I think many and even early 20s, I used to follow some of that, and it became more and more authentic kind of guides as time went on. It wasn't like a top 10, it was like a guy sharing his views on something.
Mm.
But even then, a lot of it's like, oh, here's this authority figure. Here's something to learn. Here's something I need to change about myself.
Interesting. Now you're talking about some deeper stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is when life becomes, I like to call it, um, single player, multiplayer. Everyone plays their own game. And it means nothing is better than you or worse than you. And everything you see is you for you. At the same time, what I have to realize is that everyone has the same um, experience. So I have to respect you hard. That means I cannot do stuff, I cannot use you for my own benefit. Well, I can, but people don't like that. And like you say, looking at YouTube videos, yes, this guy has experience. Like, yes, I will have a YouTube video about something, but it doesn't mean that you cannot do the stuff that I do now, today. Doesn't mean that you already don't know that and that I know better. It's just like, this is my thing. This is how I do it. That's why you have 100 different philosophies on gym. Work out this way, do 50 reps, one set, do 5 sets, 3 reps, it all depends. And it's all just experiences. Even Jesus has his own experience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all
Uh,
experiences.
yeah. Yes, what came up, man, when you talked about that?
Sorry, what was that?
uh, it's that's something I'm going through now, which is why I just said this about
Oh,
the
really? How so?
so a friend told me that you cannot, I know you're into self-development, but you cannot, like, you cannot expect uh something from someone, because maybe you going and talking with someone, like, you're interrupting their day, even if you have the best of intentions. And it doesn't mean I don't do it. It just means to take my view of life outside. It's about me and myself. And also, okay, it's not only about me. I'm not a special snowflake.
Mm.
And seeing, experiencing, and being in life more from a community space of us together doing actions from the benefit of more than myself. And what I get from this is connection and community and a place of belonging and a place of being enough. Because I in this space, we're all the same. Uh, and not in terms of like we're all from the same source. It's more of this, that we're all humans doing things the wrong way. My mother and father are not watching YouTube how to get better, but they're still developing themselves. They're better than they were 30 years ago when I was born. They have more, they're better parents, they're more conscious, but they haven't went to any seminars or watched RSD Tyler. So how are they more awakened now than they were before? I don't know. People go their own journeys.
Yeah, I thought
So
about that too, eh? Like how everyone is awakening in their own kind of different frameworks and ideas and methods, religions. In a sense, it's all kind of teaching in different ways, but moving people into becoming more awake or more conscious, usually. I'm not sure about it, but that's what it appears to be. When I was traveling, I went to temples, Hindu temples, mosques. I've been to churches, um, and I saw different flavors of spiritual development in different ways that all, I guess it made me question this this feeling that because I'm coming from a certain lineage or background that is superior to another teaching or another path, like because I'm following certain Buddhist teachings, that's better than Islam, for example. But I don't know that. Perhaps that pathway is helping them in ways that is unique to them and their situation, making them more awake,
Mm,
changing them in different ways based on their patterns, karmas, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, here's just an idea, but maybe the universe has given everybody their own unique pathways, their own unique teachings. And the teachings aren't just here's a book. The teachings are everything you interact with in the universe, like this conversation we're having here. Me walking down the street and bumping into a stranger, or me um, doing whatever, me and my work. Every little thing is like adding up and moving me in a direction. And I definitely feel like for myself, life happens to always teach you things everywhere and where you least expect them to show up. And often when you need them, it shows up too in surprising ways. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I don't know. It's like the universe is in a sense cleverly orchestrating everything and pulling the strings, but then in another sense, it's like it's not. And it's really hard to know.
mm, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Maybe that's why we are seeking that security of knowing that authority figure of telling us it's okay to go to the toilet, it's okay to invest in Bitcoin, it's okay to say this thing to the girl.
Hmm.
Because this not knowing, from my experience of doing Socratic reasoning, is all fear stems from this not knowing. Why are you afraid of dying? Well, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's this something, I don't know what that is. If you know it's a comforting blanket or a night of a 30 degrees ocean swim, okay, I'm not so afraid anymore.
Wow.
So I think this state of not knowing, I know spiritual teachers talk about that. Because to me, the present moment is the most en enlightening and also the scariest place I know. The more I let go of what's gonna happen and just be here, man, my body's I'm starting to make go like just so much resistance. It's great. It's like on a physical level, and the mind is like yesterday I was sitting doing nothing. 1,000 stories I'm listening to, just because I'm here.
Yeah. When I, so every so often I get into a state where it's like I've exhausted the mind of trying to get security or trying to think or trying to worry about time trying to worry about what am I going to do later. So I get a lot of agitation about things in the future. Like I must do all these different tasks that I have in my list, which is a very Western thing, by the way, because Westerners have learned you got to get things done, you got to hustle. It's part of our culture. So every so often that program is turned off for whatever reason, or it's exhausted. It's just tired, so it chills for a bit until it comes back. And then I'm left in this space where I can hear everything more clearly in the present moment without trying. Like the car's driving past, I can hear that, and I can hear it crisply, like it's hitting my neurons straight away without going in a loop and finally arriving in my mind. It's like it's there. And it's different to when you try to meditate and you're focusing on sensation or you're focusing on sound, but it's just kind of dulled. It's kind of like it's over here. It's not like right here in your ear. It's not right here in your hand. It's like you're feeling something in sensation, but it's not fully present, but I don't know how to describe it. And I think something about time, this is what I've noticed recently, but when you have some part of you thinking or part of you is agitated or worried about the future or needs to be somewhere else, it's almost as if some of your energy is out of your body. Some of your consciousness is out of you rather than inside. And so I think when that it got exhausted for me in the few kind of little moments that I've noticed it, then everything feels crisper. It feels there. The sound feels right there. And it's like you are noticing every molecule or atom of the sensation, every sensation or every vibration of the sound is right there, present, crisp, vibrant, awake, alive, compared to dull and bored, lethargy, tired. And that comes from when that energy is out of you. That energy is not where you are. And so I think it goes a little bit beyond just trying to be present, just trying to be mindful. I think that's really good. Like you need to be mindful, you need to focus on being present. But then the idea of future, the idea of time, the idea of security, I think unless we remove that attachment to those things, some part of you is always going to be corded out to that, and you just won't know it. That's my thought, at least. It's what I thought about recently.
Just as you said that, I looked up and I see this just now when you talked about time and how we let go of that need or that identification with time. I was seeing this then what I have a map. What's the thing that's on top of the cloth on the map?
Yeah.
There's a cloth here and it's hanging on this like stick and it's not attached, it's just on top. And as you were talking, I saw the cloth and for a moment it looked like it was levitating by itself. And then in a split second, I'm racing into the future and telling someone about it. But it's not possible that it happens. So I go back and okay, it's on a broomstick. So for a moment of outside time, my perception is at least so that, okay, and it at least not talk about what's possible, what's magic, but at least something very interesting is happening here. Like it's more engaging, to just put it very practically. And then the usage of time took that away. No, it's just boring. It's just a cloth on a map. But if I don't have to go in the future and tell someone about this, I can enjoy it as it is. And then I'm here, like you say, inside now. And for my last silent day, I noticed that when I had walks, I was not looking at people, but I could see them in my peripheral view. And the less I was, because I was not, usually I'm a very like seek approval. I will see if there's girls. I will just give good energy. I will just like be very like social. But now I was just like very much like I don't want like don't talk to me, you know, like because I don't wanna I'm not gonna talk today. All the people looked very attractive, men, women, animals, because I wasn't looking at them. They were even the horizon, everything was more like pristine because I was not labeling it like, okay, this guy has that nose and this girl has this figure, whatever, you know, just letting it be. I was not putting my mind to it. And maybe the natural beauty came up. So that's my experience from keeping the consciousness inside instead of even peripherally. You're talking about sound, but peripherally sending it out.
Yeah. It's like we're blind until we come back to our bodies, to ourselves, into the moment, the present moment, which is ourselves. Because time is just some illusion, some creation that we've created in our minds. So, moment to moment, if we're thinking about time, time is just something that's popping up in our mind, an image of this is going to happen later. It's just a thought, just a memory, just a visual image that we are creating in our minds. I think most people walk around in a state where they're not fully embodied in their
Let's see.
body.
Maybe if I
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. Might be my internet. Could you just repeat that?
it might, I will go. It might be internet, or it might be my computer being out in the. It's not used to this, that Norway being so hot, you know. So
Right.
I'm gonna sit inside. Yeah, I think it's that because it looks like it's.
Yeah,
This was
cool.
just.
Sometimes it's my internet too, because my internet is pretty dodgy here.
Oh, okay. Uh, let's see.
Seems
How
to
is it
be.
now?
It seems to be. It seems to be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just saying, people in general, you can see this if you walk in the street. What I like to do, it's a fun exercise. It's just to give people eye contact, and then you can really see the people that are present in here and the people that are in their minds or worried
Mm.
or concerned or in a rush to go somewhere. A lot of busy people where I live in Sydney. So everyone's walking around quickly. It's always funny when you go to another city and there's a completely different energy. Like when I was in Thailand, for example, people are a lot more relaxed. They're just chilling all day, just chilling. They work so many hours. They literally work like morning to night. But it's a different kind of work. It's not like over here in Western countries, we have these 8 hours and we're like squeezing every drop of our blood to be productive. We're like squeezing every little ounce of energy we can to try to accomplish all the tasks that we have, that we need to get done by deadlines, that we need to perform and to show other people this is what is happening. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it sounds like they're more working for the work. Like if you it's like this when you're enjoying something, you're not rushing it. And what I learned from this yesterday's silent day, which I worked on, I can say, is to enjoy the little things, which can be as simple as being in your body, seeing another human being, being alive. Yes, we have some stuff we need to do, but also being alive. Can I just be, can I allow myself? It's the real question.
Do you practice Sedona method or letting go techniques?
Yes.
Awesome. You read the I'm guessing you've read David R. Hawkins' book. Um, do you follow those Sedona releasing questions as well? Like, could you let this go? Would you let this go?
Ooh,
But Sedona
very.
method is like David R. Hawkins' letting go method, but it has a whole list of questions that you ask yourself um, that I've found really useful for letting go. I found it like an advancement or I guess conclusion to David R. Hawkins' work, like an
Mm,
addition to it. I found it really beneficial. So I was just
mm,
curious if that was what you were using because I've read some of your Facebook posts.
yeah. Um, not not much. I learned from Julian Blanc, which learned from
Ah, yeah.
David R. Hawkins about some of those questions, and I have asked some of those questions, but it came up, yes, from Julian Blanc. So I remember he would do this, and then in a moment, like very recently, I would ask myself, so what if I never contacted this girl? And then all this stuff come up. I'm like, whoa. And I know it's not aligned with myself to contact her because it's not what I want, but it's like, but I also want it. So I'm like, then all this resistance comes up. Uh, but what did you call it? The questions.
Sedona method. So I can teach it to you very briefly if you'd like now. So it starts off with the first kind of thing, which is welcoming the emotion. You're probably aware of that. You welcome it to process it, you welcome it to let go of it. So you welcome the emotion with loving arms, like you're welcoming a friend. You give it a hug. You let the emotion be here. And the first question is, could you let this go? This opens you to the possibility that you can do it because often we don't realize we can. We can let go of this. We think, oh, it's so far away. It's so hard. It's so difficult. So you just ask yourself, could I let this go? And then you realize, wow, maybe I can. I can do it. The next question is, would I let this go? So I could do it, but would I do it? Very different things, right? We all know we could, but are we actually going to? Who knows? So you ask yourself, would I let this go? Now, at this stage, you're already a bit more open. You're already like, okay, I know the possibility exists.
Mm.
Would I let it go? And so you answer to yourself, yes or no. The important thing is honesty. If you can't let go of it, you just say no. Ironically, by being honest, that helps to release some
Mm.
of the emotions anyway. It helps to
Yeah.
get, it helps to unravel the problem because often suppression or shame is what keeps it really blocked. So you say
Mm.
yes or no.
So I say
The next,
no, and then I feel yes. after saying no, I feel yes. So now I'm like, you know what? Actually, by saying no, I now feel yes.
Yes.
I yeah, I'm more and more open to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can't accept the full thing, just accept that you are resisting it. And then work with
Mm,
the resistance and then work with the next part and work with the next part until you can get to the thing. But don't try, releasing that first. Try working with the thing that is blocking you from actually letting go of the next thing along the chain.
mm,
So that's the would question. Finally, you ask yourself, when? When would I let this go? Because we want to put things off into the future. We want to say, I will do it tomorrow, or I will do it 10 minutes from now. When you ask yourself, when, you say, now. And it helps to redirect yourself back to there's only here and now that I can actually let go of things in. There's no other time that I can let go of an emotion in apart from here and now. It doesn't exist. So, yeah, those are the three sort of simple questions you ask yourself in the Sedona method. That is the basis of the rest of the Sedona method, which has many more questions that you can use. And I found it really helpful. Like, there's questions about relationships. This one's really good. You let go of desire for approval, safety and security, um, control, and oneness and separation. Those four things, if you can let go of them, that's going to free you for any relationship. Because those are the desires we have. We desire to get approval, we desire to control it, cling on to it, withhold love or get love. And so we do this on both sides of the coin. The part of us that wants to control and the part of us that resists being controlled. And when you do this, yeah, it's really freeing. And so donor method, I'd say, great thing to look into if you are in the letting go space and if you are helping people with it. Yeah.
thank you. I like it. I'll I like to do stuff as we're talking, so I'm like actually to do it as you're talking and testing out and
Do you want me to guide you
definitely.
through a little
No,
meditation?
I said I was as you're asking me questions, I am doing it.
Yeah, great.
So I was already you were already guiding me in that sense. When I
Oh,
was telling
lovely.
oral stuff, it was not it was my responses.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying thank you. And yeah, it's hmm, hmm, yeah. I feel um I feel we could talk longer about a lot of stuff. I feel like we have even more stuff unraveled, and if that's the word, unraveled, is it?
I don't know.
Hear
I
from
don't
many.
care.
We have stuff we can discuss, and I believe a lot of these stuff would also be useful for others who share um, our values. And you having spent time and got far in the self-discovery phase, um, have a lot of things to share that me included finds interesting and inspiring.
Likewise.
So let's do this another time as well. Let's have another conversation about whatever comes up in that moment about topics. Um,
Yeah,
because
I'd
I
love to.
find myself coming more into this space, which I find empowering.
Yeah. Yeah, me too, man. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. And
Yeah.
also, I guess life always surprises you, but I'm both surprised. I was both surprised and impressed by your level of vulnerability and depth to some of the things you've said today, because honestly, it's blown me away and
Mm-hmm.
it's really resonated with me.
Mm.
And yeah, I've just enjoyed chatting. Like, it's just been really fun. So I've had a blast. And I think
I
you've
feel,
come off that one day doing nothing yesterday and like a really cool, like reflective, authentic energy behind you. Like, I feel like you're really zen right now. Am I right?
yeah, there is this I like Eckhart Tolle, and I have this I experience this space underneath everything else. So uh, before our chat, I felt a little bit stressed, and I could feel the stress, and I could feel this. I don't have to do anything, and even now, I feel this pull of stuff I'm gonna do today. Eat, for example. I fasted yesterday, and I also feel like I don't have to do anything. And this was, I would say, my biggest insight from yesterday is that I don't have to do anything. There's nothing like I have to do.
That's so helpful for me, actually. That's the big thing I've been working on recently, or noticing at least, is the constant desire to do something or to get something done. I feel that in my weekends. So I've become more and more conscious of that. And right now, I'm still going through a phase where I'm using mental tricks. Like, I would say, I'm going to do yoga for this amount of time. And then because I've given myself time, now I can be present because I've given myself permission to be present during that
Mm.
half an hour, an hour. But then that ends, and then I'm back into the pattern of I have these things to do. So that is
Yeah,
something which I'm learning.
yeah, and I love you saying that because I've already had a few one-way conversations with you from YouTube, and then you also telling about your shortcomings, your challenges. Um, it's very authentic of you and also very courageous of you because you might have this persona of this spiritual guy, this spiritual developed guy, talking about non-duality, and then being able to say like, yeah, I still think about the future and past, and you know these kinds of things. It But for first, my ego comes up like, aha, now I feel better.
Yeah.
And then it's up to me to catch that and be like, okay, this is just the ego. And then just relax because uh, all that is, what is the saying is that by just being, by not doing, for example, thinking, following the ego, everything that's not real will go away, and what's left will be what's real.
Yeah.
So there's not much we have to do in that aspect because I resonate with that using mental tricks. For example, I would not approach a girl and I would feel guilty. And then I would use some mental tricks to overcome that. But what I actually needed in that sense was not a mental trick, it was just self-compassion.
Self-love.
Yes. And I had this a few days ago. I was giving myself, I didn't approach, I was giving myself this. And it was a moment where it felt very uncomfortable, not super uncomfortable, but uncomfortable in the sense that I don't want to jump from this height into the water, kind of discomfort. And I would rather go back to this old path of like, oh, why didn't I do this, blah, blah. And then I realized, then I decided instead, you know what, I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna a little bit go into it. And I go a little bit into it. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go, I'll just jump. And I jump. And man, it's uncomfortable, but as soon as I jump, it's like super chill. When I say chill, I mean like a relief. And it's still uncomfortable because it's still like I still have to be very present, you know, not to follow the stories. But as I'm walking, I get so many signs. Like I just let go of this. The woman with purple hair is like, like she's letting go of some cuff, you know, like something. As I'm letting go of this, I'm like, okay, I have to be very present. And 1 minute later, I'm super present. I forgot about it, and I'm in a good mood. So my mood didn't take a big drop. Usually it would take a little bit of drop and then go up again. But this time it was like same thing happened day before yesterday. Well, it's a similar thing. So it's like these tests. I call it life, universe, giving these tests.
Yeah. I don't so right now I'm not approaching many girls. I do every so often. But a big shift that I've noticed mentally is so before if I wouldn't, I would like beat myself up for it. I
Yeah.
would put myself down for no reason. Like, oh, you should have done that. You should have done that. Oh, it's an
Yeah.
opportunity. Your life is leaving you. It's passing you by, right? Um, and also when you are in that frame and energy, you feel like you have to in a lot of situations where you wouldn't even resonate with the woman's energy. So right now, I would screen more for energy. I'm like, okay, do I feel like this is an energetic match? Maybe there's some delusion there too. So that's something I'm thinking about recently. Like, am I now deluding myself and not doing it in many circumstances as a fair program? I don't know. I'm going to be honest
Mm.
about that. But there's
That's
some
huge.
aspect of where I'm now screening a bit for energy too. And so I'm not going to just say, oh, I should have because she meets some image. It's more like,
Mm.
okay, how does it feel to me?
Mm.
Does it feel aligned? And moving
Yeah.
into that rather than operating from some tricks, mental trickery, or what other people have talked about or written about, or coaches have mentioned. This is how you should
Mm.
approach, or this is how you should approach life. You know, it's
Mm.
really, I think any endeavor you look at
Mm.
is a great metaphor for anything else because mentally it's the same. And I think that's why a
Mm.
lot of guys with like the pickup stuff seem to, once they have learned that mental pattern, they seem to do well in other areas only because I
Yeah.
think it's a replicable mental pattern.
It is. It is. Um, I'll I'll head off.
Yeah.
I'll have some my first meal in since Sunday evening. It's gonna be
Oh,
amazing.
damn.
I'm gonna enjoy
That's
it.
rough.
But let's do this again, man. Let's
Definitely. I'm keen. Very keen.
um, thank you for having me in your
Thank you for chatting. Anytime, bro. Anytime.
yeah. All
All right.
right.
Had a great
Have a good
one.
evening.
You too. Bye.
Ciao.